The camera was rolling. The director never yelled cut. And what the audience saw was not acting. It was death, real death, captured frame by frame, stored in film canisters, sometimes released to the public. Hollywood and the entertainment world have always blurred the line between fantasy and reality. But these 5 moments erased that line completely. These are not urban legends. These are not rumors whispered on studio lots. These are documented tragedies. The footage exists, and in every single case, someone watched it happen through a viewfinder and could do nothing. Number 5. Vic Morrow, Twilight Zone, the movie, 1982. The helicopter was not supposed to fall. Vic Morrow was a tough guy, a working actor. He had been in Hollywood for decades. He starred in the TV series Combat. In the 1960s, he was respected, not a superstar, but a solid professional. When director John Landis offered him a role in the big screen adaptation of The Twilight Zone, Morrow said yes. It was supposed to be a comeback of sorts, a chance to be part of something big. The scene was set in a Vietnamese village. Morrow's character was carrying 2 child actors, Micah Dean Lay, age 7, and Renee Shin Yi Chen, age 6. Explosions were going off around them. A real helicopter hovered low overhead. Pyrotechnics lit up the night sky at Indian Dunes in California. The crew was filming at 2:20 in the morning. Then one of the explosions hit the helicopter's tail rotor. The massive machine spun out of control. It dropped from the sky like a wounded bird. Vic Morrow and both children were killed. The rotors struck them. The scene was captured on multiple cameras. Crew members screamed. Some ran, others froze. The aftermath was devastating, not just emotionally, legally. Director John Landis and 4 others were charged with involuntary manslaughter. The trial lasted months. In the end, all 5 were acquitted. But the tragedy changed Hollywood's safety rules forever. New regulations were written about children on sets. Rules about pyrotechnics near aircraft were rewritten. But none of that brought back Vic Morrow. None of that brought back 2 children who should never have been on that set at 2 in the morning. The footage still exists. It has never been officially released as entertainment, but it circulates. People watch it, and every single frame is a reminder that ambition without caution kills. Number 4, Brandon Lee, The Crow, 1994. He was the son of Bruce Lee. That alone made him famous. But Brandon Lee wanted to be more than a legacy. He wanted to be his own star, and The Crow was supposed to be the movie that made that happen. Brandon played Eric Draven, a musician who comes back from the dead to avenge his own murder. The film was dark, gothic, beautiful. Brandon poured everything into it. He trained hard. He performed many of his own stunts. The cast and crew said he was electric on set. You could feel it. This was going to be special. March 31st, 1993, Wilmington, North Carolina. They were filming a scene where Brandon's character is shot upon entering his apartment. Actor Michael Massey fired a prop gun from about 15 feet away. The gun was supposed to be loaded with blanks. It was not. A fragment of a dummy round had become lodged in the barrel from a previous scene. Nobody checked. Nobody cleared the weapon properly. When the blank fired, it pushed that fragment out of the barrel at lethal speed. It struck Brandon in the abdomen. He fell. At first, some crew members thought he was acting. He was that good. Then the blood came. Real blood, pooling on the floor, spreading across his shirt. The set went silent, then erupted into chaos. Brandon was rushed to the hospital. Surgeons worked on him for hours. He was only 28 years old. He was engaged to be married. His fiancée, Eliza Hutton, was planning their wedding. Brandon Lee died on March 31st, 1993. The film was eventually completed using a combination of rewrites, a body double, and early digital effects. It became a massive cult hit. Fans mourned him. They still do. Every year, people visit his grave in Seattle, right next to his father's. The footage of the actual shooting was reportedly destroyed. The filmmakers said it was the right thing to do, but the scene leading up to it, the moments captured on film around that fatal shot, remain part of the movie itself. Every time someone watches The Crow, they are watching a young man who did not survive the production. The gun should have been checked. It was not. A simple safety step, skipped, and a life ended. Number 3. Jon Erik Hexum, Cover Up, 1984. This one is painful in a different way, because Jon Erik Hexum did it to himself, and he thought it was a joke. Hexum was young, 26 years old, strikingly handsome. He had the kind of face that made casting directors stop and stare. He landed the lead role in Cover Up, a CBS television series about a fashion photographer who was secretly a government agent. It was a fun, light show. Hexum was charming in the role. On October 12, 1984, the crew was experiencing delays on set. Take after take was being repeated. Hexum grew restless, bored. He picked up a prop gun loaded with blanks. He put it to his temple. He said something like, "Can you believe this? Let's see if I get myself with this one." He pulled the trigger. A blank round contains no bullet, but it does contain explosive force. A wad of paper and hot gases blew out of the barrel at close range. It shattered a quarter-sized piece of his skull. The bone fragment was driven into his brain. He collapsed on the set of Stage 17 at 20th Century Fox. Hexum was rushed to the hospital. He was placed on life support. His mother flew in from New Jersey. For 6 days, he lay in a coma. His brain had suffered catastrophic damage. There was no hope of recovery. On October 18, 1984, Jon Erik Hexum was declared brain dead. His mother made the decision to donate his organs. His heart went to a man waiting for a transplant. His kidneys saved other lives. Even in death, his body gave life to others. The moment itself was captured by set cameras that were rolling during the delay. The footage was never broadcast, but the people who were there that day described the sound, the pop, the thud of his body hitting the floor, the screaming. Several crew members required counseling afterward. Some never worked on a set again. A blank is not harmless. It never was. Hexum did not know that, and nobody on set stopped him in time. Number 2, the stuntmen of early Hollywood, silent era casualties. This entry is not about one person, it is about many, and most of them have no names that anyone remembers. In the earliest days of filmmaking, there were no safety regulations, none. No union rules, no stunt coordinators, no pads, no wires. If a director wanted a man to fall off a cliff, a man fell off a cliff. If someone needed to jump between 2 moving trains, they jumped. And if they died, the footage was often kept, because the footage looked real, because it was real. During the production of silent-era films and early talkies, on-set deaths were alarmingly common. Stunt performers were often untrained. They were athletes, circus performers, or simply desperate people who needed money. They were paid a small fee to risk everything. One documented case involves a 1923 production where a stunt pilot crashed during an aerial filming sequence. The cameras captured the plane spiraling downward, the impact, the fire. The footage was used in the final cut of the film. Audiences gasped. They thought it was a brilliant effect. It was not an effect. It was a man dying. During the production of the 1925 film Ben-Hur, A Tale of the Christ, the massive chariot race sequence resulted in serious injuries and, by some reports, the death of at least one stuntman. Dozens of horses were also killed or badly hurt. The footage was spectacular. The human cost was staggering. These early deaths set a horrifying precedent. Studios learned that real danger produced real thrills, and for decades they chased that formula. Stunt performers were disposable. Their names rarely appeared in credits. Their families received little or no compensation. If a man died on a Tuesday, a new man was hired on a Wednesday. The cameras captured it all, and the studios kept rolling. Number 1. The Twilight Zone helicopter footage. The aftermath that changed everything. We returned to Twilight Zone, the movie. Not to repeat the story of Vic Morrow, but to examine what happened after, because this single event did more to change on-set safety than any other death in entertainment history. And the footage itself became the center of a legal, ethical, and moral earthquake. The footage was played in court, frame by frame. Lawyers dissected every second. The jury saw the helicopter lose control. They saw the explosion that caused it. They saw 3 human beings die. Some jurors wept. The courtroom was silent except for the mechanical click of the projector advancing each frame. John Landis, the director, sat and watched. He had been a rising star. Animal House, The Blues Brothers, An American Werewolf in London. He was young, successful, and believed he could push boundaries. On that night in 1982, he pushed too far. The trial revealed disturbing details. The 2 child actors had been hired in violation of California labor laws. Children were not supposed to work that late at night. They were not supposed to be near explosions. Special effects coordinator Paul Stewart had reportedly warned that the explosions were too close to the helicopter. Those warnings were allegedly ignored. The acquittal of Landis and his co-defendants outraged many in the industry. The families of Micah Din Lei and Renee Shin-Yi Chen filed civil suits. They eventually received settlements, but the money was not the point. The point was that 3 people, including 2 small children, died because a production valued spectacle over safety. The Directors Guild of America and the Screen Actors Guild used this tragedy as a turning point. New safety protocols were written. Safety coordinators became mandatory on sets with stunts or pyrotechnics. Child labor laws on film sets were strengthened dramatically. Fire safety officers were given authority to halt production. But the footage remains the most powerful evidence, not just of what happened that night, but of what the entire industry was willing to risk for the sake of a shot, a single shot, a few seconds of screen time, 3 lives. The cameras were rolling, they captured everything, and that everything haunts the industry to this day. The pattern across all 5 of these tragedies is identical: speed over safety, spectacle over human life, a culture that treated performers, stunt workers, and even children as expendable parts of a machine designed to produce profit. Prop guns were not checked. Helicopters flew too low. Blanks were treated as toys, stuntmen were treated as replaceable, and the cameras never stopped rolling, not once, not for any of them. 5 deaths, 5 moments caught on film, 5 times the industry had a chance to stop, to check, to care. And 5 times it chose the shot instead. The studio system built itself on spectacle, and spectacle has a body count. These names, Vic Morrow, Brandon Lee, John Eric Hexum, and the countless unnamed stunt performers of early Hollywood, deserved better. They deserved safety. They deserved someone to yell cut before it was too late. Hollywood wanted these stories buried. We remembered. If you believe these stories deserve to be told, subscribe, share this video, and come back for more truth they hoped you would never hear.